So welcome to the Fearless Man Q&A live call. We do this call every week. It's not always a Q&A. Sometimes we talk about stuff. We do different stuff, but it's a live program we run every week on Thursday at 6 p.m. So welcome to the call if you're just getting on. And we're going to jump right in pretty quick. I just want to double check the sound. How's the sound? Cairo? How's the sound?
It's good.
Good. Okay, awesome. I've got a series of questions. We got 8 questions here. We're gonna jump into and go through from the from viewers that are out there. I don't have the names of the viewers or their handles on YouTube. So Cairo, are you going to be able to message these people and let them know I answered their questions? And so whoever's question this is will get a message indicating his question got answered in this video. So if you want to have a question on here on the weeks that we do a Q&A, make sure you put some comments, because we pull them out of the comments, or submit a question directly to the Fearless Man. So let's dive in. Question number 1. I am a virgin, and this has made me complacent. How can I build my confidence around my sexual side? Because right now I feel like I want to give up, but I want a sex life. But I don't even know what this feels like to have a sex life. There's some stuff, there's questions I would of course ask you based on what you wrote here. I've had a lot of virgins come through the Fearless Man program, and a lot of them have turned into non-virgins now. And I want to first ask you how old you are. If you're 21 and you're saying you're not a virgin, 22, 23, 24, 25, that's very different than 40 or 50. I have met 50-year-old virgins before, and I've met 40-year-old virgins before. So don't think they don't exist. They do. Okay. It's not. And so what I want to do is start with the idea that, well, there's several questions. How are you with women? Can you talk to them? Do you socialize well? Do you make friends with them? Do you have none in your life whatsoever? Number 2, how are you with sex? And this is usually the big piece with virgins. How do you feel about sex? Do you feel comfortable talking about sex with women? Do you feel comfortable wanting sex? Do you feel comfortable seeing sex, something sexy or sexual in front of a woman? Do you feel comfortable being turned on in front of a woman? Do you feel comfortable looking at a woman and feeling turned on while you look at her? Do you feel comfortable telling a woman you like her without getting analytical, like feeling turned on and saying, I like you, or you're hot, or you look amazing, really having her feel you feel the turn on while you say it, and the appreciation and the curiosity and all the emotions that go with being turned on by a beautiful woman. These are the things you have to develop to get sex. And they're very easy to do once they're developed. But if you've got a lot of blocks between you and your ability to do this stuff that you're naturally built to do as a man, be turned on by a woman, enjoy a woman, witness a woman, we call it witnessing her beauty, witnessing her the feminine, then you need to remove those blocks. Women really get turned on by a man that knows how to appreciate their femininity, their beauty, that witnesses them, that sees them, that looks at them and enjoys them without getting creepy or weird about it. Just, hey, I'm a man, you're a beautiful woman. This is what we do. And as you do that more and more and get more comfortable with it, you're going to find that more and more women respond to it beautifully. If you try to have analytical discussions with women about sex, sexuality, telling them that you like them, which we're going to cover later because it's another question that kind of goes into this, then it's all going to go south. You can't sit there and say to a woman with no turn on, and just up in your head and nervous, I really like you and I want to get to know you. I think we should date, and then neuter yourself, take all turn on, attraction, appreciation out until she gives you permission, because she's not going to give you permission because you didn't come with it. You asked her analytically, which is not sexy. That's fear-based. A man that's not afraid of a beautiful woman would not start analytical. He would come right away with his appreciation, his curiosity, his turn on. He wouldn't be afraid to let her know he likes her, indirectly. And she would feel that difference, and it'd be a world of difference to her. So the first thing I recommend you do, since I don't know much about your life, is start looking at, there's kink sheets out there. We have one, we don't have it up, But there's basically these kink sheets that people put out. They basically talk about all forms of things that you could do sexually. And what you do is you use them to discover what you would like. I would like that. I wouldn't like that. Maybe I would like that. I want to explore that. What I want you to do is to start exploring what turns you on and what you're curious about sex. If you're looking at something that turns you on and you get really embarrassed, you write that down. You're at least curious. You want to explore. This doesn't mean you want to do it, but you want to at least find out more about it. If you get ashamed, that's another one you write down. If you get scared, that's another one you write down. Any of this stuff you're afraid to talk about, note it. And start to go through just exploring sex and all the different things that people do in sex, all the different ways they play, from dressing up to foot fetishes to bondage to spanking to tickling fetishes to all kinds of stuff people play, multiple partners, swinging parties. Find out what intrigues you. And you might be saying, well, I haven't even had sex yet. Well, that's fine too. What in basic sex do you like? The reason I want you to do this is mainly to get you comfortable talking about sex in general. I want you to explore it and figure out where you're uncomfortable, then find somebody safe that you can talk about it with, and start and work on getting to the point with this safe person, a person that would never judge you or make fun of you, to where you can actually talk freely about what you like, don't like, what you're curious about, and then start expanding your range of people within that area. You have to get past your shame about enjoying and liking sex. And that's the most important thing. Most guys that are still virgins don't want to, they usually have nice guy syndromes, and they're afraid to bring up sex or be sexual or be turned on in front of a woman. And that's really what it boils down to. And they're afraid, and they don't want to talk to you. They get super embarrassed. Yet they go home and they'll turn on porn and they'll masturbate all by themselves to a computer screen with some girl that'll never hurt them because she's on a screen. And that's not what we're talking about here. So turn off the porn unless you're exploring something sexual. At least don't you're exploring something you like, learning more about it. And in that case, don't masturbate to it. Just learn about it. Let yourself be turned on. Let yourself be curious. Find somebody to talk to about it. Write it down. Explore it. Wherever there's fear or nervousness or insecurity, explore that, note that, and see if you can start letting that go. Just as you write it down, as you explore it, as you journal it, you're going to start to let more and more fear go. As you talk to more and more people about what you like, you're going to start to be able to open up more and more. Now, if you don't have a safe group of friends you can talk to about this, then what I recommend you do is you go someplace where you can find a safe group of friends. Meetup groups where they talk a lot about sex and sexual experiences. Workshops, seminars where they teach sex, sexual experiences. You have to get around it and get comfortable with it. And this would be the number one thing. Get out to one of our workshops. And if you can get to one of our workshops, we'll have you directly work on that issue with beautiful women, confronting it, digging into the issues, and helping you to break up all your taboos in that area, so you can start to re-access those parts of your body. Now, for a lot of guys that haven't had sex, they also don't get turned on easily unless they're alone with their computer screen and porn or something like that. And so we do a lot of work with helping you to be turned on in front of a woman and owning that space. Because why would she get turned on if you won't get turned on for her? It's pretty rare. Sometimes it happens, but for guys that are good with women, they know how to get turned on in front of a woman. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, since I don't know much more about you and I can't talk to you direct. What I'd recommend you do is get out to a Fearless Man live event. They're not expensive. They're super inexpensive. And that gives us a chance to look at you directly and see exactly what's going on with you, because it's something that has to be dug into a little bit deeper usually. And find out a little bit more about what's going on specifically with your situation. Okay, so let's go on to question number 2. And make sure to, if you guys got any comments you want to put into the chat box, I have somebody monitoring it. I'm not seeing it. I'm going to take some Q&A later. Make sure you put it in there, and so I can get to it later. I'm not sure, probably, if there's a lot of it, I may not be able to get to all of it, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay. And if anything comes up that's related to what I just talked about or anything, Cairo, then feel free to bring that up a little sooner. So I want to start dating multiple women, and I notice some guilt is coming up, and I feel as if I'm doing something wrong. What's the best way to communicate that I want to see other women and let go of this fear of losing women once they find out I'm not looking to commit to a relationship at the moment? Honesty is an aphrodisiac, and I want to invite you to start experimenting with this idea that not every woman wants a relationship. There's a lot of women out there that are just looking to date. There's a lot of women out there that will have no problem with you being open or not committing at the time. You just have to be really honest about it. You don't have to say it up front, like, I just want to warn you, because that'll sound really weird. But go on a date. And how you convey it is in who you're being. If you're talking relationship from day one, you're doing things that are relationship-y, like talking to her on the phone every day, texting her every day, telling her you miss her, telling her you want to hang out with her, spending a lot of time with her. That's very emotionally connecting, bonding. She's going to think you want a relationship. If you start conveying from day one that that's not who you are, through no uncertain terms, very clear, then she's going to get that message. And so, for example, talking about sex, talking about you know, you love, even commenting how beautiful and sexy you find women, right when you first meet her, talking about how, like, she turns around, you just met her, and you go, oh, you got to be honest, those high heels make your ass look amazing, things like this. And you start conveying that right away, and then you're not talking to her every day. But when you are talking to her, you're telling her she's beautiful. You're treating her like an amazing woman, and you are definitely turning up the sexual energy. She's going to get the hint that you're just looking to play and have fun. And if that's what she's looking for, she's going to bite and she's going to go for it. If she does bring up, I'm really looking for a relationship, just be honest. But don't be honest from your analytical mind. Don't go up here and say, I just want to tell you, and get all nervous, that nervous, fluttery energy. I just want to tell you, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious. Don't say it like that. Drop down, feel your balls, feel your turn on, say, you're a really beautiful, sexy woman. I love hanging out with you, but I'm not looking for a relationship right now. I'm not in a place where I feel I can have a relationship, but I definitely would love to hang out with you some more because you're an amazing woman. Or I find you beautiful and you're sexy and I love you. I love your company. And if that's not all right with you, I understand. But I want to be completely honest. If that comes up, and just own it. Stay low in your body. She may hem and ha, she may, I don't know. And then suddenly she's fine with it. Here's the other thing. If you're being the sexual guy, but then you're texting her every day, all kinds of romantic stuff, taking her out on super romantic relationship-y dates, and you're wanting to see her all the time, but then saying, I don't want anything serious, she's not going to believe you. She's going to see that you're saying one thing. You're saying, oh, I don't want a relationship, but then you're acting like you do. So she's going to assume that at some point you're going to just give in and want a relationship with her. And she's going to be a little bit more loyal to how you're being. And I see a lot of nice guys do this. They walk around saying they don't want a relationship, but then they act like they do. So you have to drop the game and be really honest and have your actions, the undertones, your inferences, and everything match who you're being. So she gets it very clear that if I date this guy, it's nothing serious. And she may want to go over once a week, once a month, and just have great sex. I have a friend that does that. She has a guy in her life that she was talking about the other day. She just goes over once a month and has amazing sex with, and realizes it's never going to be anything more. So she just takes it for what it is until she finds a relationship. When she finds a relationship, she'll move on. And she's in no hurry. So if she was super serious and came to me and said, I really just want a relationship and I'm super committed to that energy, then I would say, cut that other guy out to her. And I would say, just only accept relationship type dates into your life. And you have to cut the rest out. So you're telling your unconscious, the universe, whatever you want to say, this is what I want. But she's, she's where she's at. She's having fun in life right now. She's playing. She's not wanting anything serious either. And there's lots of women like that. So, question number 3. Okay. How can I move past obsessing over women? I meet women, and the minute I know she likes me, I get attached or clingy. Nice guy syndrome. And it's a very short question, so it's really hard for me again to answer your specific situation. But what I will say is, it sounds like you have a nice guy syndrome, which is a form of codependency when you get attached and clingy. Usually, that's has to do with inconsistent parenting and abandonment issues from childhood. And I would recommend looking at the book No More Mr. Nice Guy to really understand this energy, or Codependent No More would be another book if you had any type of alcoholic abusive parenting. That's extreme codependence. And that'll give you a basis for understanding this. Now, it's going to feel like when you break up with somebody, even if they weren't right for you, that you can't let them go, like it's ripping off your arm, because that's what codependence is. There's a sense of needing that person's constant validation, even when you know you're not in love with them. And and then when you break up with them, you'd swear you're in love with them. And when you're back together with them, you're kind of complacent. It takes some time to heal, and it's a little bit painful. And so I'd really recommend you take a look at that book. Also take a look at the book Way of the Superior Man. That's a book on the kind of the evolved, more evolved kind of masculine personality, what we call the third stage man. So, or David Data calls the third stage man. He's the author of that book. So the nice guy syndrome would be the second stage, and the third stage would be this book, The Way of the Superior Man. And start to look at that. And what you're doing is you have a lot of attachments to validation, to needing people to like you, to fear of abandonment, and probably a lot of attachment to security around this person, because something like this went on in your childhood. Whether you had an alcoholic parent or a drug using parent that had a real inconsistent personality, a bipolar parent, whether your parent just straight up abandoned you and you were left alone. There's a lot of different ways it gets created. And then whether you had a parent that always punished you by abandoning you, in other words, they yelled and screamed at you and then didn't talk to you for 2 days to try to make you conform to their behavior. So they didn't teach you proper rupture and repair, fighting and cleaning it back up and growing together. So there was no growth in your relationship. So there's this constant fear of being abandoned. And abandonment for human beings is a very scary thing. This is why I personally believe that people have there's more people with the fear of public speaking than the fear of death. They say it's number one fear in the world. And well, the fear of public speaking is an interesting fear because it's the fear of mass abandonment in a lot of ways. You got a whole audience that can abandon you or judge you very quickly. And if you go back to primitive times as a man, if you were in a tribe and you got, let's say you could go off in the tribe and you have one of two choices. You either could go off, fight in a battle, and be the hero of the tribe, and you would die. But let's say you're the hero of the tribe, and the tribe loves you, and they loved you, and they appreciated you, and then you died in a battle, and everybody praised you for who you were. Or let's say you were the type of another type, and that person got abandoned, and he got sent out into the forest, and the tribe kicked him out. Now, the problem with that second one is that person will most likely die too, but he's going to die alone. He's going to die. He's going to be alone in the forest, and there's a decent chance he won't survive if this is like 1,000 years ago in let's say a jungle type setting. And it's going to be very lonely and a very painful, slower type of death. So which one really sounds better? And so this is why I think the fear of abandonment for a lot of people is a horrible, horrible fear, because it's a very painful, lonely existence all the way up to your death. And whereas at least the other way, you were loved. And so when we have abandonment issues from childhood and we have somebody in our life that's there for us, even if it's partially there, even if it's a little abusive, we don't want to let them go. There's no rhyme or reason, because we can see it doesn't matter, but we don't want to let them go. It hurts. It's scary. And so we keep clinging. And so that has to be worked through. All the attachments have to be seen and released on, and looked at and released on. But the first thing I can tell you to do is you need a support group to help you make intelligent decisions. And you need a support group of men, and to help you make intelligent decisions, so that when you go to let go of this woman or a woman, or you go to set boundaries and rules, you stick to them, because the support group won't let you get away with not sticking to it. And that's what Fearless is. If you come through a Fearless program, you'll see we have a lot of guys that really help each other out. Another thing you can do is start small. Start setting boundaries right now. Make a practice of saying no to people. Tell, where are your limits, and where are you not saying no, and who do you need to say no to? Because nice guys don't want to say no. Is there anybody in your life that you can cut out that's maybe not as close, that's not a healthy relationship, but you're kind of letting them hang around because you're nice, but it's not somebody that's like your girlfriend? And can you have that conversation with that person and let that person out of your life, and start practicing setting boundaries in that sense? This is really, really important, because the better you get at setting boundaries, the and actually following through on them and meaning them, the more you're going to face the parts of yourself that just wants to make everybody happy, to get that validation, that clingy part, and you can start letting it go. You can start working your way up to bigger and bigger things. I'm guessing in your relationships, you probably put up with a lot. And this is also what causes these same girls to get unattracted to you. Because the more you let them get away with a lot and do whatever they want, because you run from the tension, and we talk a lot about tension here at Fearless, that you don't step into it, you avoid it, you ignore it, the more these girls, women, are going to lose respect for you. And that's the end of their attraction for you. It's not long before they're not going to be attracted to you. So start stepping away from that, and start setting those boundaries. How do you feel about ending? Like, if you date a girl and you go out 2 dates and you just end it, now I'm not interested. Have you ever done that? And that might be something you want to do, is be really honest with a girl you don't like, and don't ghost them, but tell them. Be really clear. And this will again trigger that part of yourself that's clingy. So I would try some of these things. Find people you can say no to. Sending back food at a restaurant. Saying, no, like if somebody says, do you want to sit over here at a restaurant, and you don't, say, no, I want to sit there, and be really clear about it and see what happens. Most of the time they're going to say, yeah, but if it scares you, that for some nice guys, stuff like that is scary. And then keep amping it up. Where are you scared to ask for what you want, and where are you scared to say no? And then make sure you do it. And then journal about it. Journal what you learned every day, and keep setting those boundaries. And who in your life is it? Do you have an unhealthy relationship with? Do you need to have a talk with, or end it, and have those talks and journal them. And this will start teaching you to set boundaries and say, what do I need? It'll also start teaching you to step into tension, and to start to play with that tension, move into that tension, own that tension. And the last thing about this that I'm going to say, if you're going to do these actions I just told you and try it out, do it because you've decided to do it, not because Brian told you this is a good exercise to do. It might be a good exercise that I told you to do, but if you're doing it to get it done because Brian told you to do it, you won't get any benefit. And that's the other problem I see with guys learning to step into tension. They're doing it because they have to. So do it. Find a way to decide, even if it's scary inside yourself, this is something I'm doing for me that I want to do. Okay. My dating life isn't going anywhere. Can't seem to get online dates to commit, and my first dates never amount to anything solid. I'm frustrated and don't know what to do. Also, I'm guessing that you got a lot of nice guy syndrome going on there. And it's probably being conveyed in your online dates through your emails, through your texting, because that's exactly how it all gets conveyed all the time. And that's why your first dates aren't probably going anywhere. And it's either that, or you're the other side of it. There's two sides of the coin here. Either you're super codependent, nice guy, you're afraid of tension, you're trying to be super nice, get rid of all the tension out of a conversation, and therefore the women don't get attracted to you, because you're like, where do you want to go to dinner? Oh, I'd love to meet you. You're super Like we'll meet on Saturday. Oh, you want to change the time? That's no problem. That's super great. Let's do that. Let's do whatever you want to do, kind of energy. And then, or it's the other side. You're super clueless. You step into a lot of tension, but that's because you don't feel any emotion or feelings, as you're numbed out. And you're just like, and you just say whatever because you can't connect to your emotions or feeling. And it comes across that this guy doesn't have any emotional availability. And so these are the two extremes. It's where you want to be is somewhere in the middle. A certain amount of ability to step into tension, hey, I like you, and a certain amount of ability to feel emotion, hey, I like you, and have them feel your heart open and your vulnerability and your connectedness. Maybe even being a little nervous. I like you, and you scare the shit out of me, but then owning it like a man. And this is the sweet spot area somewhere in this range. And so my guess is that you're on one side or the other. Some guys also don't like online dating. And if you hate online dating, that's going to show through too. So that's why online dating wouldn't work. Depending on the side you're on, you're either going to need to learn to be more vulnerable, access to your emotions, feeling more, which doesn't mean being sappy and crying. It means learning to have appreciation, learning to have joy, learning to feel a little sadness, learning to feel a little loneliness, being really honest about this stuff. What turns you on? What excites you? What are your passions? And really accessing those real emotions, not pretending or acting it out or telling a story about something that excites you that doesn't really excite you just because you think it'll turn her on. Oh yeah, I love skydiving. Don't do that. I've seen guys do that and it's horrible. That's the old pickup mentality. And then the other side of it is the side that says, I'm just what do you need? What do you want? Oh yeah. She says, I don't like something. You say, I don't like something. She says, I want to go to this restaurant. That sounds great. Let's go there. When would work for you? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What day? And that's the other side. Now I'm kind of doing an extreme of both sides. There's a little gradient in both sides too. And if it's the nice guy side, you got to learn to step into a little tension. I'm not available at that time. I can go at this time. You know what? There's another restaurant similar to that one, but I think you would like it better. Let's go there. I really want to. That's where I'd really love to take you. I'm being really honest, and not being afraid to tell a girl she's beautiful, sexy, gorgeous, or trouble, or pain in the ass, or in a teasing way, playing with her. And you can be difficult sometimes, can't you? And saying it with a little bit of a cocky, kind of fun personality. That's all stepping into tension. And so that other side, you need to learn to step into tension. We've got a lot of videos on tension, so I recommend that you look those up and check those out. And just type in tension in our search, Fearless Man Tension, and you'll see some videos on that. And if you really if you want us to tell you why specifically you're having trouble, get out to one of our live events where I can meet you in person and tell me that I answered this question, and get back so I can talk and remind me. I do answer a lot of questions for a lot of people, so it may, might have to jog my memory a bit, but tell me you answered it. Come out to Fearless Man Live or get out to an experience. The experience is where you're going to get the most custom feedback on who you're being, because you're going to be up there with a model on camera, looking at your behavior, looking at your energy. I'm going to have you out talking to real people, looking at your energy, and I'm going to tell you exactly why you're having problems. You're going to see it clearly and a path to work it out of your nervous system, because at the core of who you are a man. So you're built to be confident and handle tension and to be attractive to women. And that's just part of how you're built by nature. And so you have something between you and what you're designed to do. So what we do is we look at you from that perspective. This guy's already built to be attractive. So what do we need to do to strip away his fears and anxieties to get him there? And so that's a great place to go. So look at the videos on tension. We have some videos, Cairo, on emotional vulnerability, right? I think we do. Check that out. Emotional vulnerability, emotional access, something like that. And if not, then I'm definitely going to be doing some soon, because we need to do some. Maybe we'll make that a topic as developing some more emotional vulnerability. For the nice guys out there, a lot of you have a lot of emotional vulnerability, but you don't know how to ground it. Like, you're really needy in it. You sit there and you're like, I like you, can't we can work it out. I think you'd make a really good, just if we try really hard, a little harder, I really want to work this out. And there's this begging energy. And that's not vulnerability, guys. That's neediness. A man owns his emotional vulnerability. I like you. And I may never see you again because I'm moving away. And I want to tell you how much I like you before I leave. And if you don't feel the same way, that's fine. I can handle it. I'm a man. But I'm not leaving without telling you. There's a big difference there. That may scare the shit out of you to say if you really mean that. And I said some words very similar to that to a girl many years ago when I first really got the concept. And we talked for a long time after, sat behind her car outside having the deepest conversation I've ever had with her. It was amazing. I'd always been scared to be emotionally vulnerable before that. And that really got me intrigued because every time I've been emotionally vulnerable before that, I'd been needy and it pushed the women away, like boom, gone. So, so stepping into that power.
Let me just add, so kind of those two. So a few follow-up questions. Number one is same thing. How do I deal with neediness? And
how do I deal with neediness? There's a question that's coming in.
So neediness, and then dealing with loneliness because I'm not really being successful in dating.
And dealing with loneliness. Neediness is neediness, and they, you know, they're both lower emotions, and neediness comes from a sense of insecurity or hurt in your body, like you want to compensate for this, what I talked about earlier, for a sense of abandonment or a sense that you're not complete on your own. So it's a self-esteem problem, it's a self-worth problem. You see, if you really loved yourself, you really believed in yourself, then a girl rejecting you is not going to hurt you at all. She doesn't even know you. What does it matter? You just move on. You would have and neediness also implies a lack of abundance, that you don't think there's more than enough to go around for everybody, that there's more than enough amazing women to meet. You don't need any one, even the most beautiful one you can walk away from if she doesn't treat you with respect. And I think both men and women should be this way. So developing an abundance mentality is enormous for getting past neediness and developing a sense of self-esteem and self-worth, that I deserve the best. And if she treats me like crap, then I'm going to move on. If she says no, I'm going to move on, because I'm not going to waste my time being with somebody who doesn't want to be with me. It's not good for her. It's not good for me. So both of those need to be worked on. Digging into your stories about your self-esteem and your self-worth as a man, too short, too ugly, too bald, because none of those stories are true. Challenging all those stories, looking at them, journaling them, doing some process, some releasing process, like from the book Letting Go by David Hawkins, or looking at some of our previous videos where we talk about that stuff. But even just journaling what's coming up, taking a serious look at the story, feeling all the emotions, and journal the emotions that you're feeling, and then ask your body just to let them go. Like, take the page, look at the emotions, look at the sensations, the feelings, and just say, can I let all this go? And you're going to start to feel lighter if you journal all that down. And then do it for the next thing that comes up and the next thing that comes up, and keep doing that. Meditating, stirring the stuff up and then meditating is another huge one. So for example, if you go out and you get rejected, which is a great thing to do, you can go out and try to get rejected sometimes, and then sit down and just meditate for a little bit and clean it all out of your nervous system. Like, don't do too much, don't do more than you can handle, but then get good at meditating first. Get some basic skills in meditation where you feel pretty good and a little buzzed, and then go out, push the boundaries a little bit, then go somewhere and meditate and start to calm your body back down. Show yourself that it's just a feeling, that it can't control you. That rejection, that neediness are all just emotions, and emotions aren't you. Those emotions can change, they can morph, they can become something else, then they're definitely not you. And so showing yourself that is huge for for getting past this. And so I would recommend that. Hey, Cairo, can you get a glass of water? I'm getting a tickle in my throat. So thank you. So getting past that is huge. So journaling, and really taking a look at the thoughts, then looking at the emotions that hold those thoughts in place, looking at any pictures and images and physical sensations, and then just asking your body, once you look at them all, can I let it go? And that's a real basic, just kind of running through it, and then write it all down and then let it go. You probably never have to look at it again. After a while, you can just process it and it's gone. You'll start to notice the charge gets less, less, till eventually there's no charge anymore. And loneliness is the same way. Loneliness is actually a lack of connection with other human beings. You don't need a girlfriend to not feel lonely, or you don't need a girlfriend to get rid of loneliness. You can feel connected and loved and loving all the time, even if you never have another girlfriend again. That has nothing to do with it. You can have amazing, or you can have girlfriends in your life, and even amazing girlfriends, I was going to say, but you can have girlfriends in your life and not feel connected at all and still feel lonely because you're not letting anybody in. So learning to let people in is huge. Thank you. I appreciate it. Learning to let people in is huge. So what I mean by this is dropping your walls and letting yourself be emotionally vulnerable with people. And I'm not talking about strangers here. I'm talking about people you know, developing really good male and female friends in your life, like bonding with other men and feeling your heart open, and to getting a good sense of that. So what I'd recommend there is starting to do a heart meditation. Just look at different heart meditations up on YouTube. There's tons of them, and learn to open your heart a little bit. You don't have to open it a lot. Just ask it to open a little bit, and start learning to connect. And once you do that, you'll start to feel this sense of either warmth or tingling or buzz through the meditations. And then start seeing if you can do that a little bit while connecting with people, while talking to people. And you're going to start to feel more connected to people than you ever have before. And this will start to get rid of a lot of the loneliness. It might bring up emotions at first. It could even cause tears for people, especially when you start to open your heart. A lot of tears for some people. And that's healthy. That's healing. That's you grieving out all the old pains of being walled off. I've had clients come through programs where we had to do a lot of work in these areas that had been through a lot. For example, in combat in the military, had killed people in the military through combat, or had seen a lot of death, different things. I had one student who he disabled bombs for the Army in the military, live bombs, mines and things like that. And he was very numbed out. So learning to feel your heart and connect to other people for him, was a bit of a process, because he didn't want to feel, because at any moment, there's this idea that he could die. And so learning to feel was a process. So there was a lot of meditations. Now, what we do here is we do a lot of these meditations and teach you to open your heart and process energy, learning to ask your heart to open a little bit at a time, feeling your heart. And we do that with very attractive women that can help you to open your heart, teaching you to ground and process that energy and share it back and forth and exchange it. And it's really a trip when you've never done it before. As a matter of fact, some guys get very emotional at first if they've never done it in their life, if they came from a household where that just didn't happen. So an example of this would be, if you just take a moment and feel it's the center pillar of your body right here, and particularly feel the heart, feel the stomach, even feel the hips and legs, and just feel down the front of your body and just notice what it feels like. And then ask yourself, how often do you take time to even feel these portions of your body consciously? Do you remember feeling them when you're walking down the street, or is your head somewhere else? Do you remember feeling them when you're talking to another person? Do you remember feeling them when you're talking to a beautiful woman? Do you feel your legs? Do you feel your hips? Do you feel your stomach? Do you feel your chest? And what I want you to do right now is just take a moment, relax, and begin to feel right here and notice what it feels like. And then ask that sensation or feeling or whatever you're feeling to come to you. And what I mean by that is, if you were the director of a TV show or a movie, you couldn't control the actors. You direct them, you tell them what to do, but they still have to do it. You can't get in their bodies and do it for them. So I want you to now ask your heart to start opening. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, somewhere in that range, just a little bit, like cracking a window. But I don't want you to try to make it open. I want you to ask it and then just sit back and notice the experience your body has, just like you're the director watching the actors act, watching the experience on the screen, let's say, if you're watching it from the audience of a movie theater. So just ask your heart to open and just notice what that feels like. And then welcome that feeling, welcome that sensation. Even if it closes down and gets a little tighter, I want you to welcome that. Don't fight it. And then ask it to open again. And if it already opened a little bit, ask it to open a little more. And then notice what that feels like and welcome whatever that feels like, whatever comes up. And then just relax down into your body and feel your stomach a little more and your legs as you feel your heart opening. And then ask it to open a little bit more, another 1%, 2%. And begin to become aware of the space around you. And notice what the room feels like in your immediate vicinity, in front of you and behind you. Notice your breath. If you can, notice if you can feel your heartbeat. Some people can. If you can't, that's fine too. And then ask it to open a little more. And as it opens more, ask yourself if you can feel the whole room and even a little beyond, and just start to notice what that feels like. Notice what it feels like to be aware of the space all around you, the whole room and beyond, maybe outside a little bit, the people moving by. And then start tuning in to people wherever they're at. And if you're in a room by yourself, that's fine. Let your heart expand to become aware of the space outside the room you're in, and see if you can feel what it feels like to become aware of people in the other rooms while feeling your heart. And notice what that feels like, paying attention to your breath and the feeling in the moment. And now this is the beginning of opening your heart. You can start to open it more and more and feel more stuff. You can start to do this while sitting in a park around more people after you get good at it, sitting by yourself quiet. And then you can start to work your way up, starting to open while sitting in a coffee shop, doing it a little bit. And then eventually, even while having a conversation, which will affect the conversation completely. Because if you're having your conversations with a closed heart, with that area of your body tight, the muscles tight, shut off, then it's really hard to connect to other people. You'll actually start to feel like at a certain point, almost like your heart can connect to the person you're talking to right in front of you. Like there's a little bridge between you two. And it's a pretty awesome feeling, and it feels really good. So I know that sounds a little more new agey. I could explain it scientifically. I can explain it in a new age way, but it really doesn't matter. All that matters is that it works. So try it out. And so let's move on. Brian, how do I start overcoming fear of rejection? I'm an introvert and I struggle in conversations, and sometimes I'm so nervous I stutter. How can I start building up my confidence in myself and around women? Well, first thing I would suggest is start learning to meditate. We just talked about that. Start learning to feel your body a little bit more. And particularly what I just did, start using it to learn to feel your legs more. That'll help you a lot with grounding your fear of rejection. Your heart a little bit, and then your legs. Now, with that said, I'm not going to go into a meditation for that or anything today. But what I am going to say is the next thing you need to do is start going out and facing your fear of rejection on a daily basis, at least 5 days a week, just like going to the gym and lifting weights. Now, you don't have to be out all night every night, but if you go out for a minimum of 20 minutes to an hour every day, I would say 30 minutes to an hour would be better. And some days maybe longer. That would be phenomenal. Start right where you're at and go a little bit beyond. Think of it like a circuit breaker. If too much electricity goes to the wire, it will pop the circuit breaker. So if you go out to socialize, you go somewhere where there's a lot of people, and you go up to talk to people and socialize, and you go way beyond your limit, the breaker's going to pop and you're not going to get any benefit out of it. That's too much too fast. But if you notice where your limit's at, you're standing out there, and let's say you might want to work in a bar, or you might want to work at the mall, depending on your preference. If you're walking up to the bar, you're building up all this anxiety and nervousness. That's where you start. You got to start working out a lot of that anxiety and nervousness just being in that environment. Maybe it reminds you of high school and all those cliques at lunch and things like that. You have to start feeling that. So you might have to go to that bar for a week and just learn to feel the environment so you start calming down. Then maybe walking up and asking people what they're drinking 3 or 4 times a night is where you're at. And so just say, hey, what's that drink? Oh, awesome. And then you move on and you start building up from there a little bit at a time. asking somebody where the bathroom is, if that's all you can do because you're scared to push it any farther. That's where you start, and you start building it up. And maybe 2 or 3 days you go out and do that, and then the next 2 or 3 days you add a little bit more, and you try to ask a second question. Then the next 2 or 3 days you ask questions with a little more tension in them, like for example, I used to, and I'm not a big fan of routines, but I am. So I have a yes and a no relationship. What I mean by that is saying something that's a default for exercise purposes is great as long as you pick stuff that's fun for you and you're doing it for exercise purposes primarily. This doesn't mean I'm not going to pick a line and say I'm going to go use it to pick up women. I'm going to pick a line to use it to practice being more free in my conversations, to give me an opening to play. And I'm only going to pick stuff that's fun for me. And then if something else creative comes up, I'm going to switch to that in the moment. I'm going to be loyal to what the moment wants. So I used to say to girls a lot when I first started, "You look like trouble," because that's all I had all these lines to pick from in the pickup stuff I learned, and that was one that was easy. I could say every time. So I said that a lot until I got bored with it, and then I moved on. I just walk up to girls, "You look like trouble." And then I walk to the next one, "You look like trouble." And I would just laugh at myself trying to get it right. And then I would say different stuff every time after that. And I would practice feeling and relating to the person in front of me. That's all the way up in tension. Another good one that I've used in bars is either this one. This is just practicing straight up brutal honesty. "Hey, I'm really shy and I'm just getting over my shyness and I'm meeting everybody in the bar tonight. How you guys doing?" And I just start talking. I go through and I might talk to 20 different people that night, 10 different people, 5 different people. And at first they're like, "Oh, they're nice." It's not going to get you laid or a date because people are going to be nice to you, but that's honest truth about where you're at. But then what happens is if you do it enough, you start to get more confident and it starts to get easier. And then they go, "You're not shy. Come on." And then this tension builds and you got to start to have a banter and a playfulness with people. Then I changed it to, you know what? I'm just building my confidence. I want to be way more confident, or I want to be more confident. So I'm saying hi to everybody in the bar tonight. That was another one I would use. You could say it any way you want. And then what happens is after a while, you get bored with that. Then you just start walking up and saying whatever because you've done this stuff enough times. And you will get rejected. If you really want to get over rejection, then just ask for rejections. "Hey, you know what? I'm getting over my fear of rejection. Do me a favor, reject me." And then they'll just be, "What?" Go, "Yeah, just tell me to get lost or something." And they'll probably laugh, and that'll be it. And then, or they'll say, "I can't do that," and you just kind of face that fear a little bit, and that's another way. But you might want to start really small first if you're terrified, sitting in there for a week, and then building yourself up, and then getting comfortable asking 1 or 2 questions, and the number one most important thing, I'm going to go back to the beginning of what I said, is going out consistently, at least 5 times a week. Not just 2 times on the weekend or 1 time on the weekend and going out for 3 or 4 hours. It'd be much better to go out a half hour a day, 5 times a week. Even go to the mall and just ask people directions and the time and start building your way up. Okay? You have to face it. And then after you're done going out, meditate or journal or do both to process out the emotions that are coming up, to get through them. Because you don't want to stuff them back down. You want to get them out of your body. Okay? Okay, Brian, this is number 6, the long one. "Brian, I currently hang out with this girl and I need advice on going about asking her about her true intentions. We talk about what we want in the future, how many kids you each would like to have, long-term goals, etc. She also told me what exactly she dislikes, that guys do so much as when guys message her constantly, rushing things regarding relationships, etc. I really need advice about taking my relationship with her further. She's a very beautiful woman, but from what she's told me about herself, I like her personality even more so than her appearance. As you can tell, I'm having a hard time understanding just exactly what she means by what she says." This is really interesting because she probably is very attractive if she gets a lot of guys trying to get her into a relationship, and she's probably dating a lot of nice guys. And you sound like you're running a lot of nice guy syndrome, so I definitely recommend you check out the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. And you don't need to ask her about her true intentions. It makes me think of a girl trying to figure out a guy's true intentions. All you're going to do is scare her off. Just like she says, she doesn't like that. And now you're thinking about doing it. If it's going well, don't worry about it. Just start moving it in the direction of a relationship. As you guys talk more and more, as you get to where you're talking and texting on a regular basis, just keep assuming a relationship. In other words, if you guys start texting a little bit more and more each week and a little bit more every day, and you start dating on a regular basis and you start acting more relationship-like, you're most likely going to end up in a relationship. She's going to bring it up at some point, or you're just going to feel it together. You're going to be going out together, and you two will then suddenly assume a relationship. But if all you're thinking about is how to get her into a relationship, you're going to push her away. If you're going to have that conversation with her analytically from your head, you're going to push her away. And it sounds like you're in your head, and that's why I don't want you to have the conversation. If you have the conversation from your body with a girl that's really turned on and really likes you, that would be great. You know, I like you, and I can tell we're doing, and I'm having a great time with you. And she'll say, yeah, and so am I. I'm like, good. And then you could say, I like the direction this is going, and that would be awesome. And that's all you need to do for now. She'll bring up more later. She'll probably ask you, where are we? What are we? And that's what you really want. You want to kind of lead it there and get her to ask those questions. But in the beginning, I would just move in that direction. That's what I've done with pretty much every girl I've ever been with. I didn't have a talk. Every girl that's been my girlfriend, I just moved in that direction. I started seeing her more, taking her out more, treating her more like my girlfriend, doing more romantic things, wanting to cuddle with her, hang out and watch movies on the couch with her, talk to her at night and listen to what's going on with her, have her tell me about her day, all that kind of stuff. And that automatically moved in the direction of a relationship. But I didn't negate all the tension. I still teased her. I still bantered with her. I still set boundaries. I still had rules. I was still very masculine with her. And that combo worked great. If you do what I just said without the masculine boundaries rules part, it probably won't lead anywhere. She'll probably feel like a nice guy that she can step all over. Okay. And so really take a look at that book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and Way of the Superior Man, if you want to understand the evolved man. And so you really understand what's going on here. And the next thing is I'm just going to leave it at that. You're good. So I would like to hear what happens with this down the road. So make sure you put some more comments in. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear your future comments on this. Next question. We're on number 7 out of 8. Hey, I got a question, fearless man. That's how he started it. How come every woman I am attracted who I start off as friends with, but when I tell her about how I feel about them, they distance themselves from me? Same reason as the last person. I just explained that. You're probably trying to define the relationship, having that talk from an analytical perspective, saying, I like you. Do you want to be my girlfriend? And there's no tension and there's no connection, or not enough, or it's real nice guy like. And so she runs away. And you're chasing her. Remember, whatever, try running out and chasing an animal, watch it run away. Try being chased by somebody and watch yourself want to run away. It's not fun. You have to polarize and pull people in. So read those same books, but start playing with tension, start teasing. You want to get them wanting to be with you as much or more than you want to get them leaning towards you. See, you're the masculine. The masculine's like the tree trunk, and the tree trunk doesn't chase the branches and the leaves. The masculine's like the riverbank that guides the water. It's the stillness. The tree trunk is the more still part of the tree, the solid part. The riverbanks guide the river. That's the solid part. Okay, and so you're more of that solidness. And so if you're nervous and insecure and chasing a relationship, you don't feel solid. You have to create a place for the relationship to happen naturally, for her to surrender into, not you chasing it from her and trying to get her to give it to you. You have to get her to want to bring it to you. That's the opposite. So you got to switch the polarity on it. So a lot of what I just said in the last question being more grounding, being more solid, being very masculine, but at the same time, lead it to a relationship. Don't analytically talk about a relationship. Do things that a relationship like while being masculine, but don't talk about being in a relationship. Okay. And question number 8. Sir, can you suggest some ways to center myself and some ways to define my boundaries? I'd appreciate your efforts. Meditation is a great way to learn to center yourself. If you can get good at meditation in a quiet, safe space, then you've learned to center yourself. Any type of meditation. And then take that meditation and start doing it in more crazy environments. Start with a park. Work your way up to a coffee shop. Learn to do it with open eyes, not with your eyes shut. Learn to do, you can do half gaze or fully open, and just learn to surrender and feel your body and meditate. And you could eventually even do it in a bar. Learn to ground yourself and hold your center in more noisy environments before you learn to talk. Then start doing it in conversation. Once you've got a feeling for what that center feels like, start conversing with people more. Sit down in front of a friend and see if you two can talk while feeling that space, and see if you can have a conversation with that friend while feeling that space, and then build your way up. Have a friend challenge you, give you a little bit of shit, and push your boundaries while you hold that space and work with it. And don't lose it. Tell him it's his job to knock you off a little bit, to get you a little flustered. Don't take it too far, while you keep holding that space. And you're practicing first without talking back, just him pushing, and then eventually while talking back. And practice that. And that requires feeling your body, being grounded, having your eyes open. So you're building up the ability. I love meditation. The problem is I see a lot of people not be able to meditate unless they're in a nice, quiet, safe environment, which is a great place to meditate. But you have to eventually take that centered space into a more chaotic environment if you're going to live in the physical world. If you're not going to live in a monastery or up in the woods somewhere spending your whole life meditating, then you need to be able to take it out into the world. And so that's huge. And some ways to define boundaries. What are your boundaries? Do you know? Make a list, clear boundaries, and then figure out what's outside those boundaries and have a talk with those people or change those situations. Excuse me. If for example, let's see here. If a boundary is, for some reason I'm blanking on boundaries, but if a boundary is that you don't want someone coming over to your house unannounced, they come over unannounced because they want something, then you just tell them, I'm busy right now. And you say, I got to go. And I appreciate if you call first, and just set that boundary and be solid. If, if, for example, a boundary I've had to set here at Fearless is I don't usually, on Mondays after a workshop, I don't work. I take that time to meditate and clean up my body. And I've had a lot of people try to get me to work, try to get me to do different things. And I just say no. And I've had to set that boundary, reset that boundary 2 or 3 times. And after a few months, somebody will try again. And I'd say no. Because if you let a little bit in, then a lot gets in. And that's a boundary I like. And so I had to set it over. And it's it's not really resetting it. It's fine. I just have to remind people. Because I need that space for me, because I'll work very long hours during a workshop helping you guys get change, and I'll give it my all. And so on Mondays, I really need that space for me. And so with women, there's going to be a lot of boundaries. They're going to try to, push boundaries in all kinds of ways. You're going to tell them you're not available, and they're going to push and try to get you to change your plans and spend more time with them anyways. You're going to say you have to work on Sunday, but you got all day Saturday. They're going to try to get you to take Sunday off instead, all this type of stuff. So learning to say no whenever you see that, and not be a dick about it, not being rude, not being an asshole, because that's what you guys do. You wall off all your emotions. So learning to open and be really loving while setting that boundary, being caring and saying, no, it's not something I can do. And just being solid as a man. So the first step is to define your boundaries. Second step is to see what's outside those boundaries currently in your life, and then clean that up. And then the third step is to start playing, because your boundaries will change with time. You're going to want to drop some boundaries, and and don't make them rigid. Make them very flexible. So in 3 months, if you really want to drop a boundary, say, you know what, I want to let more in there, and I want a more solid boundary here. You'll do that, and start playing with that. Okay. So I want to open the floor now. Let's see, it's 7:04. We've been going at this for about an hour. I'm going to take a couple questions. If there's any more questions, there's probably a lot of them, because I know we've had a lot of viewers. Is there any questions that you got for me that stand out, Cairo?
Yeah, so something came up is really, just talk really briefly just about leading the conversation and interaction. So sort of like guys are asking, should I ever try to make up to be flirting with me? Should I flirt for 90% and let her flirt? And I was suggesting that always lead the conversation and highlight more a little bit about leading the conversation.
Yeah, it's the masculine. The masculine tends to lead. So when you're first meeting a woman, taking the lead, if you want to be in the masculine, is a very good thing to do. If you want her to be in her feminine with you, this doesn't mean she's not capable of leading. A lot of women are today, and they'll take the lead if you don't. But what they're looking for, most of them in relationship, is to be able to surrender into their feminine. So your ability to take the lead in conversation is huge. But also taking the lead is creating space for her to talk, asking questions, guiding, leading, occasionally, not all the time, interrupting. So an example of this would be, you're looking her in the eyes, and she might tell you something that really you feel emotionally really interesting. Tell me more about that. Why? And then you might say, why? Tell me more. And if there's genuine curiosity, she'll feel you pulling that out of her. Okay, she'll feel the tug. If there's no genuine curiosity and you can't feel your body and you're talking from your head, then she'll feel more like you're trying to analytically lead, which just doesn't work. It's more like, oh, really? Tell me more about that. Which is like, does he really even care? Leading means you actually care about the conversation. Leading means you're nurturing it along. You're protecting it. You're aware of the space around you too, also, and so you're kind of, while you're connected to her, you're aware of that space, and you're aware of people coming in and out of it, so you can keep this connection solid here. So leading might mean interrupting. So as she starts to tell you something, oh, there was this time when I was painting, and there was this line on the painting, and then she starts to change the subject. Then you go, wait a minute, wait, back up. You interrupt. Tell me more about that painting and that line. Why would I do that? Because I heard emotion and I felt emotion in that. And then she jumped off of it really quick. No, go back to that. I want to hear more about that. Why? What do you mean? Well, it just sounds like you really like that painting. Well, I used to paint a lot. And then when I'm telling you this really happened, by the way. Well, I used to paint a lot, and it was something that I just miss. And wow, I didn't realize that I cared. You know, you're right. I really do miss painting. And we went down that topic and started talking more and more about painting. And the next thing you know, she's painting again. And it's really important to be able to interrupt occasionally when you hear something important, but not do it all the time and not dominate the conversation. If she talks incessantly, interrupt and lead. Because if she's not going to stop to let you in, she's talking incessantly, you have to interrupt to lead. She's nervous talking, and she needs interruptions for you to guide her, because she's going to keep talking till you speak. That's most likely what happened in her childhood. And she didn't, and she probably just spoke a lot until the family interrupted and told her stuff. So you have to do occasional interruptions, lead it, move it. No, and like she'll say something, and then you go, oh yeah, that reminds me of a time, and then you'll share, and then you go, oh, tell me more about that, and you got to kind of guide that whole thing. Another one is also, why you're leading a conversation, is leading the space around you two. If there's people bumping into both you two, grabbing her and moving her, creating a space where you two can connect and have a real conversation. So the emotions are a part of it, you managing the space, you leading the direction of the conversation, you asking things that you're curious about and occasionally interrupting, but not doing it too much. So this is all part of leading. You're managing, you're the picture frame, creating a space for the picture to express itself, being the feminine. So the big key is for you to witness her expression, witness her emotions, feel her emotions while she talks, listen to them, and feel them, and feel when she gets excited, feel her get excited. Oh, interesting. Why? Because she got excited, you felt it run through your body, so you respond to that. She got curious, you felt that run. And then you lead it in new places. You know, that's really sexy, the way you said that. and throwing in little things that pop the tension like that every once in a while and putting that in there. And don't be afraid of it, because that's what's going to spark the conversation. So this is all how you play with leading, different ways. And it has to be exercised a little bit at a time. Don't expect to get all this at once. Pick one aspect of what I talked about and work on it. And then get it down. One aspect, not two, one. And then pick another aspect and get it down. So you might work on first just creating a solid, grounded space with eye contact. First the grounded space, then the eye contact, and then feeling her emotions while she talks, and asking questions from those emotions. And, it's just a little bit at a time. And you get better and better and better and better. And pretty soon it all becomes natural. Because you're not going to analytically create a structure for leading. It won't have the emotion in it. You have to be able to feel her emotions, which means coming out of your analytical mind and feeling your body. And you have to be able to express back with emotion, which means coming out of your analytical mind and expressing back. So while I'm listening, I'm not thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. I'm feeling her and listening and letting whatever the next thing that I'm going to say come up inside. And then I go to the next thing. That's why being grounded is so important. It keeps you from getting nervous and going up to your head. Anything else there?
Yeah, just a question about porn came up twice and 3 times today. So
we got a question about porn that came up 3 times.
About addressing porn addiction and shame, and is it creating any consequences?
Porn addiction and shame, does it create any consequences? Yes. If you're looking at porn all the time, well, think about it this way. The girls on the screen will never reject you. They'll always be who you want them to be. You can break up with any one girl at any one time. In essence, you're liking this girl, cut her off, go to the next one. So you're not really learning to interact with a real human being. It also lowers your libido, because every time you masturbate, it's a distraction from some emotion. Let's say I'm masturbating all the time. I'm probably distracting myself from something I don't want to feel. And if I keep masturbating, I'm numbing myself. If you stop masturbating, you're going to start to feel all that anxiety. That's all the stuff you need to process to get past all your issues. So every time you masturbate, especially if you feel ashamed about it, and you keep and I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of, but if you do, then you're going to be reinforcing that shame too. So getting really honest about the fact that you masturbate maybe too much. And I think masturbation is fine, but if you're doing it every day, all the time, then especially if you're not good with women, getting good with women becomes a lot harder. Now, let's say you cut your masturbation down to once a week, twice a week tops, if you're young, and then you take that extra libido and you use it in your meditations, you use it in your processing, you use it to go out and actually meet girls, you use it to get over your fear of meeting girls, because now you really want a real girl, and you stop looking at the girls on the screen. Maybe you don't look at the girls on the screen at all anymore, and you only masturbate when you really need to masturbate without images. Then you're going to want to go out and meet girls now for real. And you're going to want to learn how to actually interact with them, because you're going to want real sex, or it's going to increase at least. So the masturbation, just like alcohol, just like drugs, just like food, can all be a distraction from something you don't want to feel. You feel a little anxious, go masturbate. And that's not what we want. We want to let all that build up, and you learn to channel that energy and run it through our bodies. All that energy you're giving away too. If you're masturbating multiple times a day, man, that's energy that could be running through your body, empowering your body, and giving you more energy throughout the day, more excitement, more life, more expression in your body. And that's really important. Better sex when you do have sex. But if you kill your libido all the time, where's the motivation to actually go out and meet real women? Anything else?
Yeah, question. So men don't need to respect a woman in order to feel attraction for her, but women need to respect a man in order to feel attraction. So that's true.
Men don't need to feel, this is a question, men don't need to feel attraction for a woman or respect for a woman in order to be attracted to her. But women do need to feel respect for a man in order to be attracted for him. And I would say that's not exactly true. I would say that you're right. Men don't have to feel respect for a woman to look at her and say she's sexy. We could look at her body, her hip, her waist ratio, or her ass, whatever, and we could say, wow, that's fucking sexy. To fall in love with her, yes, we're going to have some form of respect. Same with a woman. A woman could look at a man and say he's fucking sexy, but he opens his mouth and she loses it all, you know. And so that's because he's not. She might say, wow, he's still really sexy, but she won't probably want to be with him because he's being an idiot. Or she could respect his ability to handle difficult situations, but his overall demeanor is shit. So there's an aspect of him she respects. She might really respect his masculinity, but she thinks he doesn't have much of a personality. So she might just have sex with him for his masculinity. So I wouldn't say it's 100% true. I say women are very unique from woman to woman, and they have a lot. They're like more like an internal puzzle, each one, and they have all these different reasons they like things and don't like things. So I wouldn't put them into that box. But ultimately, for a woman to get serious, fall in love, just like a man, she has to have respect. Otherwise, it's just codependence. If you stay with somebody and you don't respect them, it's just codependence, and you're mistaking a codependence for love, and people do that all the time.
So the other follow-up thing, he's asking because people always talk about women losing respect for men, but never the other way around. I guess why do women lose respect for men?
Because men don't show up. That's the number one reason. Because he's not present in the face of emotion or tension, like difficult situations. He's not showing up as a man. He's becoming a boy. He's numbing out. He's shutting off. I'd say that's the number one reason women lose. His presence is diminished from what he's capable of. She sees his capacity here. She's seen it, but he's playing the game here, and she loses respect for him. And as far as the other way around, it works the other way around too. As a man, if you lose respect for the woman you're with, the sex, maybe you'll still enjoy having sex with her, but you're going to fall out of love with her. And for me, if I lose respect for the woman I'm with, I'm probably not going to want to have sex with her. I just don't see it. I'm going to lose interest really fast. And if I have sex with a beautiful woman, that's amazing. It's great, but if she doesn't start, if after 2 or 3, we've been around dating for a little while, if she's not showing up more and more, I'm going to lose interest because there's nobody there. I don't have any respect for the person that is there. She has to show me some quality that I like for the sexual interest to grow and go beyond what's there. And it's the same for a woman, I would say. The relationship is always evolving. So I think it does go both ways, whether it's talked about or not. There's this assumption in the world that it's a man's job to impress a woman on a date. It's a woman's job to decide if she likes him. And that is completely erroneous and bullshit. And I challenge it all the time. How many dates have any of you been on where you thought it was your job before you went out on the date to impress the woman? Even if you've never met her before, only met her online, it's a blind date, and you have to figure out how to impress her. That is not your job. When women say, oh, you blew it and stuff like that, no, I didn't. I found out the truth about where we're at. This is who I am. It's your job to put the version of you forward that's the most authentic, and it's her job to put the version of her forward that's the most authentic, the best version of the most authentic version of yourself, and decide if you like each other. That's the whole job on the date. And if you don't like her, you have every right to end that date. And if she doesn't like you, she has every right to end that date. So respect does play a large part in that. Turn on, attraction. What are you after? Are you just looking to date right now? Are you just looking to have fun with other people? Are you looking to actually look for a partner and get married or something like that? And all that plays in to the date. And if she's looking for a partner, a lifetime partner, she should be qualifying for that. And same with you. If she's not, she should be qualifying for what she is looking for. If you're just looking to go out and hang out and have a good time, you should be qualifying for that. And that might mean sex. That might not. That might mean you just laugh with this girl all night and you end up being friends. Or maybe you laugh all night, you never see each other again, and you don't even have sex. You don't do anything. I've had stuff like that happen before too. I'm not attracted to her sexually, but she's a lot of fun. We'll just bullshit. Have a good time tonight. I've done that too. So it's your job to go out and decide what you like and what you don't like. And then See if there's and the more real and authentic you are, you'd be surprised how many more girls are actually going to get attracted to you versus trying to impress. Trying to impress is trying to chase. When you stop chasing, more women get attracted to you. Okay, okay, good. Hope you guys had a good time tonight. We had a lot of viewers. I really appreciate it. I love speaking with you guys. If you didn't see the whole video, make sure you go back and catch it from the beginning after it gets uploaded to the page. And if you got any questions, make sure, or comments, put them in the comments section so we can get to them in a future video. Kyra will be looking for different comments for me to answer on these live Q&As. And we'll be covering some different topics in the future. I appreciate your being here. It was awesome having you. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out thefearlessmanlive.com. I already told you to comment, and also make sure you check out our events. Excuse me, not thefearlessmanlive.com, thefearlessman.com. And then make sure to check out our events like the Fearless Man Live gatherings or the experiences, which are different workshops, seminars that we teach where you get a chance to meet me in person and get your questions answered in person. With that said, I hope you have a beautiful night or day, depending on when you saw this. And I'll see you in the next video. And remember, only the confident really live. Take care.